collapsing, the yields are spiking, the petrodollars are dying, the bonds are defaulting, the monies are inflating, the famines are coming, the markets are crashing, the jobs are seeing, the debts are piling up, the cyber criminals are hacking, the blackouts are coming, the world wars are starting, the West has fallen. It's over, but I still have to go to work Monday morning. I'm tired, bros. I'm tired of this world. When will it be my turn to be on top? I'm tired, bros. I'm tired of this world. When will it be my turn to be on top?
Like activist chicks, and she's like, I'm going to Occupy tonight. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm not doing anything. So I went on one march and ended up on the front page of the New York Post, and I've memed it up ever since. But my actual involvement in Occupy was rather negligible.
So what do you think your politics were like growing up? Were you the typical conservative like most of us, or were you changed by the fact that you
No,
were
not at
progressive?
all. Not at all. Because I grew up in Ukraine for the first 10 years of my life. So I did not grow up in a typical American political environment by any means. And then when I moved to America, my stepdad was like a Democrat, worked for the government, or for IBM at first. I'm not gonna dox him too much.
Yeah.
So, but in any case, he voted Democrat mostly. But as far as politics, well, I went along with the flow. I watched the Daily Show, but I'm also like kind of a shit talking contrarian. So I would always go into. But when I read reviews for like my favorite games, I always read the worst one to see people like, why did people hate the thing I like? And so I would listen to NPR, and then I would turn on, conservative AM talk radio, and piss all my friends off doing that. But like like make fun of what they're saying the whole time. But at the same time, this, I guess, kind of worked over time, because by like 2012, that did do my reading at the same time. Like, I read the fucking communists. I read Marxist.org when I was in college. I took all the I did my assigned readings in sociology and all of that. So
Yeah.
I skewed leftward for a while. But what I've begun to notice in around late 2012, early 2013 is like, it's all fake. Like, these people don't really live up to any of these claims that they make. They're not really like very equitable in their own dealings. They're not actually very justice oriented in how they make decisions. They don't really look at the whole. They're not very tolerant. In fact, I was walking past a class and just hearing what they're discussing, and it's like I see a male professor and a woman, a girl with like pink hair, and he asks some question which I don't remember. But she answers like, it's because women are, deep disenfranchised in our, one of those like marginalized in our society, and blah blah blah. And the professor goes like, yes, you're right, that is a perfect answer. And I thought, that is such an odd image, like, if what she's saying is true, the professor, who's a man representing the dominant, he's in the administration of the school, he's within the network of power, right? Clearly in a position of power. He is a man. He should tell her, shut up, bitch. What the fuck are you doing in my class? Right? If she was that's how you would marginalize somebody, isn't it? But no, she was being pro, and that was like a crystallizing moment for me. I'm like, this is all fake. This is all for convenience. This is not like, these people are not making difficult decisions. My ideology is not based on anything that requires sacrifice on my part. It's convenient for me. But like, important things, like difficult things, great things are not convenient. Achievements are not built on being easy, right? And so if this ideology is so easy and everyone believes it, nobody disagrees, and I can go off at any point, talk about the oppression of whoever and whatsoever, and I know who like, it became so clear and obvious that it's all just bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, they don't believe it, I don't believe it, it's not believable. The world is a more complicated place than the oppressor and oppressed, because it's clear that, like, even from the sociology reading that you assigned me, that the oppressed can be the oppressor. Like, these are being in a position of decreased power, somebody having a position of greater power, does not make a moral statement about either one of them. It's how it's used. You can't automatically assume that somebody with more power or more money is more evil than somebody with less. I mean, this is obvious, right? But it seemed like the entirety of your like ideological scaffolding as you're growing up in the United States is to believe the simple black and white version. There's good guy, bad guy. The bad guy is the one with all the power and the money, and the good guy is the one without it. And you look at that and you figure out who the good guy and the bad guy is, and you side with the good guy, quote unquote, doing you know, uh,
And they're
the
so
quotes with my hands here. But,
yeah, they're so
and so immediately I'm starting like, well, I'm going to go look into fascism. I'm going to read a book about fascism. I'm just going to straight up believe in fascism for a little while just to understand what the fuck anyone is even talking about anymore, right? And I end up like falling down some blog rabbit holes, end up on Moldbug. I'm on Twitter and I watched Pax Dickinson get fired from Business Insider by Anil Dash, and just some of the things that Anil Dash said to him in that article, like you couldn't move up in this industry without the approval of someone like me. And that was another one where it was like, it really is just convenience. It really is just about self promotion, and the reason that like all of these people like it is just to put themselves up above other people. Like it is so like transparent,
it's a claim for
and so that's how I
equality,
ended
but
up
they just shit
on the
on
right.
like everybody else. They gain power, which is basically their god, and then they just shit on the people that they were trained to hate.
Yeah, and you would try to tell them, like, you're acting exactly like Nazis did in Nazi Germany. You are the Nazi. And you're like, how can I be a Nazi? I'm a fucking lot. Like, you just don't get it, huh? You just don't get it. You will
They'll
never
never
get
get it
it.
either.
It's convenient for you never to understand this. You don't want to assume an inconvenience.
The inconvenience.
You don't go around reading why do people hate the things I love like I do.
That's similar. I think that we both got hit in college then, because when I grew up, I was like in a very, very like Protestant Christian environment, Ronald Reagan conservatism, apple pie, and Jesus, and all this stuff. And I was just raised in a very Christian environment, and then I went to like I was very patriotic, like yes, America's the best. We're the land that God wanted, but
And
Israel is better. It's all this bullshit.
I just wanted to go back to like, because also started to compare everyone's politics in America and everyone's like life in America to how it used to be back in Ukraine and like what people believed there, and realizing that like it really is like the people who talk about privilege have way more privilege than they even understand they have, and they're like so self-abusive about it. At the same time, they keep exercising it by imposing it upon people who understand what it's like not to have it. So, like, for example, I know what it's like to not be, in a privileged position in society. Being a white kid didn't give me anything in Ukraine because everybody was white, right? I was just a broke ass kid. Nobody cared about. With a single mom, his dad got murdered. So like, it just looks so comical when people grew up in the suburbs are acting like revolutionaries and like they're for the oppressed, but they don't really.
That's all.
They're for
they
conveniencing your own ego.
It's all.
Anyway, go on.
Like
Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut
you're
you
good.
off there.
This is an interview for you, so I want you to speak as much as possible. But they're all like this Hassan Piker kid. Like you're a rich kid. You're like, and a lot of them are white, but they do that. They believe in these progressive things because they want to get ahead in life. They want to have the right opinions. But these Hassan Piker types, they like. I think you were tweeting about this before, or retweeted someone. Like the only real liberal is a white person because the rest of these brown people just want more power for their in group. But Hassan Piker, he's oppressed, but he also has millions of dollars.
Oh, I'm from Turkey. I grew up in Turkey. I'm so poor, except your dad was a fucking millionaire, and you were born in New Jersey.
The worst, God's least favorite state. I'm convinced. I fucking hate.
You spent your summers in Turkey playing polo on a horse, buddy.
What a jackass!
Yeah, I know Turkey's a poor country, but like Russians who are also poor go on vacation there. It's sort of like, yeah, I grew up in fucking Aruba. I know what it's like to be poor.
It's such bullshit. But like what I was talking about with like just being like very conservative. Then I went to a liberal arts college, and it was I knew that it was going to be liberal, but the shit I heard there, and I apologize to everybody listening for swearing so much. I'm a Christian, but you wouldn't always know it from the way I speak. But just the things I heard there. I remember there were two turning points for me. Like, I was getting more and more, I guess you could call it, like, radicalized just from everything that I heard in these classes. Like, these professors, like, goddamn hate me. But I remember one time this professor in a criminology class. Criminology classes at college are literally just like, listen, the criminals are going to do their thing. Leave them alone. It's your fault they're doing it anyway. But I remember he said that we should get...
Oh, that's different from my criminal. I actually took I majored in legal studies, quote unquote, like pre-law.
Yeah.
So the crimes classes that I had to take were conducted by an actual like a prosecutor from Ithaca, and so he was very down to earth and realistic about things, you know.
I had one guy
so,
who was like a police captain at one point,
let me say,
and that was it.
I had to take I had to do an internship, and I did it at the courthouse working for this guy. And I had to write an essay about it, and they made me write an essay about why stop and frisk is, well, they didn't make me, but they strongly hinted and suggested I should write an essay about why stop and frisk is good, and why it's actually a very sensible policy. And here is all these Heather McDonald articles about, yeah, blacks actually do commit more crime. So, my liberal arts education actually contributed a lot to being a right wing.
I was like the exact opposite.
So,
I think I forget exactly what I got, like my minor and bachelor's. I think part of it was criminal. I had a minor in criminal justice, and the only cool professor I had, one of them was like a prosecutor, but the other one was this police captain, and he was really good. But the rest of them, what a bunch of steers and queers! Like you've never seen anything like it. Like this black guy who he was talking about, like, we should just we should get rid of all the men because they commit 90% of the crime. What an irony coming from that guy, by the way. And he was like, we need to get rid of them and put them in a camp.
Just make it men.
Yeah. And I laughed at this because I thought it was so ridiculous. He looked me in the eye and said, I don't know what you're laughing at. They'll be coming for you first. And, like, I got into, like, an argument with the guy. And, like, you know, you're a college kid, and, like, getting into an argument with your professor is kind of scary. But all these other kids
I would have told him they should. They should.
They should get rid of all the quote-unquote men.
No, they should come for me first. They definitely should.
I mean, basically, like, that's always stuck in my head, like, they'll be coming for you first. It's like, yeah, probably. They probably also would think they should, yeah. But then the other thing was, when I was in college, it was like the 2016 election, or like, not like, it was like, I went to college, like, I was just in there, and the 2016 election was going on. And I remember, like, reading about all the stuff that was leaking. Like, spirit cooking really hit me. Like, I remember, like, oh my God, the schizos are right.
I was fully locked into right wing by 2015. So Pizzagate, I was just, like, eating it up. I was like, this is so fucking true. So real. Like, retweet, share, hit the bell.
So then we can move on in our history of the online, right? So we go from Alex Jones to the Tea Party to, well, first Obama and then to the Tea Party, Occupy Wall Street. Then we get our real first taste of the modern online right with everyone's favorite, Gamergate, which, I mean, looking back, but that was like, that really caused a shitstorm online because it really started people pointing towards, I mean, the left's probably biggest tool, which is journalism. And it started in, like, the most innocent random place, but gaming of all.
Five Guys, Burgers, and Fries.
Five Guys, Burgers, and Fries. So if anyone here is listening and isn't aware of Gamergate, like, when I first started trying to look at, because, like, my whole college experience, I was just really pissed at all my college professors, and I was like, I hate you people, and I know you're wrong, and I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm just stubborn. Like, so I was looking for, like, sources on, like, I know these people are wrong because they're insane and they're communists. So I was looking for all these places on Twitter. And, like, I kept hearing about this thing, Gamergate, and, like, finally it brought me to, do you remember internet aristocrat Mr. Medicare, who maybe or maybe
He's the one who kicked it off.
Yeah, he kicked it off.
He's the one who kicked it off. Five Guys, Burgers, and Fries was the name of his video that kicked it off.
Yeah, and so, for those of you not aware, this woman called Zoe, I think it was Zoe Quinn, this, like, she is, like, the archetype for, like, the mid-2010s, like, liberal woman, colored, different dyed hair, kind of fat, nose rings, and she made a game called Depression Quest, which is, it seems like it's not even a game, it's more like you type something in and then it does something. I don't really know. But she got a
It
ton of
wasn't
good
really a
reviews.
game. It was so much as a choose your own adventure blog post, is what it was. Because the way you're describing it is like an old text adventure game, but it was not even that. It was worse than that.
So what we can all agree on is that it was bullshit. But what was more bullshit was she got a bunch of different like good reviews from gaming journalists, and I guess people caught on
She
to
got
it.
awards for it.
Yeah. So she got so much different bullshit, and she's even been living on this. Like, I mean, we like the online right. I mean, all our side of the fence.
Trip to the UN.
Yeah, she got a trip to the UN. Even today, like if you Google, like I'm looking at the Google for Gamergate right now.
It was
Gamergate
her
online
and the
harassment
other
campaign.
most important. It was her and the other most important person to Gamergate, which is Anita Sarkeesian.
I was gonna call her the cockroach because I didn't remember her name.
It's Sarkeesian, and she's important to remember because she's the one who is responsible for the existence of the Twitter Trust and Safety Council. And because of her and because of Gamergate, this is when Twitter started actually actively banning people. Because before about mid 2015, Gamergate started in August 12, 2014. So this was 7 months into the Gamergate campaign. They really were not moderating Twitter almost at all. You could talk to ISIS. There were active terrorists posting on Twitter. You could say faggot. You could say whatever the fuck you wanted, and they wouldn't ban you. You could say it to whoever you wanted, and they wouldn't ban you. There wasn't much shadow banning going on. There was not a lot of like suppression. There were not a lot of people botting likes either. I mean, and if they did, it was very noticeable. So after Gamergate and after Anita Sarkeesian joined the fray and went to the UN to talk about how people talk to women online,
Like that's
they
some kind of
instituted the
oppressed
Trust and
thing. Me
Safety.
calling her a faggot online is like considerable to like
Yeah,
something
you
that's happening in
stupid
Sudan.
bitch, get off it. That's good. You know, like, oh my God, my fucking life is falling apart. Anyway, after she went on her counter campaign, she got a seat on the Twitter Trust and Safety Council, which really changed the game on how we post, essentially.
And now everything has to be in different codes and different things that to outside people I'm sure are almost impenetrable. Because I remember when I was getting into this, it wasn't nearly as bad, and I was confused. And so you have
we're not allowed to talk straight. We're not allowed to talk straight or forwardly anymore. We get banned if we say our feelings. So we have to code everything
and everyone's
into a
afraid
different
of
kind of.
because even things that
And
you
we have to
say
change
that are
these codes
yeah.
fucking constantly because they will steal all our words that become popular and start, laundering them and overusing them so they are meaningless again. And we have to get on the treadmill and make up a new fucking longhouse word. Yeah, it used to be cocked, by the way. Used to be cocked and a longhouse, buck broken,
And they use all
We're going to keep making up new words. Yeah.
The leftist takes everything that the right creates. Like most of modern memes are either from something awful or 4chan, like cesspits of like no censorship and things like that. But like the leftists will take it and be like, well, now this is referring like the right wing cock or whatever. It's
yeah, when they started posting coke, when they started
exactly.
Now they say mauled because sometimes we can't say dilate, right? And they say mauled.
Dilation, just like all the stuff that started coming out. So you really get the modern online right from this one video, Five Guys Burgers and Fries, from Jim, Mr. Medicare, Internet Aristocrat. He's gone by a billion different names and all this different stuff. So you have a few prominent right-wing people coming up online, but then you also, with that, get these people who are very mainstream and far less offensive. Like you get Louder with Crowder, you get Ben Shapiro, of course. And then you also even have like...
At the time, you had Argon of Akkad, who was also kind of a bit of a leftist. Started. And Gamergate pushed him now that he's running a party in the UK, running the Nazi party of the United Kingdom.
That would be really funny if he became like the fascist leader of the UK. That would be
the Hitler of Britons.
Yeah, he's gonna bring it back. I swear. Like he's a lot better than he was back then. But
He called himself a liberal when it all started. He
calls
really
himself,
did.
like,
He
a
really thought he
conservative
was a
now.
liberal.
But like,
Yeah.
that's
No.
yeah.
He was pushed very hard right by Gamergate, and specifically Gamergate and
Yeah.
everything that happened.
And like,
I still say, and this is a mundane Matt take, but like, if it wasn't for Gamergate, there wouldn't be any Trump either.
That's
Because
true.
this is what made people hate journalists so much, especially white men. That's what made us hate journalists and all these fucking liberal. If you supported Gamergate, you voted for Trump.
literally.
And you could run a poll on this, you'll see it's true. If you hated Gamergate or you didn't know what it was, chances are you voted for Hillary.
So yeah, and like with all this stuff, like the start for hatred with journalism, but like one thing that's interesting out of Sargon of Akkad, you had like these rebellious liberals that went with him, and you see very clearly like they either stayed with him and became more conservative. Like I don't think that he's like, I think there's a video where he says he's as far right as it gets. No, it's not. He's still pretty milquetoast. But
No, it's not even close. But it's
Yeah.
nice of him to say that. You should say stuff like that.
yeah, it's good to normalize that stuff at least. But then you also have people who were with him like Kraut and T, who eventually like they were like, well,
Oh,
the
fuck that
culture's-
guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Because he got rid of people like Edgy Sphinx, or I think he called himself Braving Ruin at the end, and like other stuff. He's a piece of shit. But
I thought Braving Ruin was the girl that he canceled.
that was Rage After Storm, I think. She was some British girl.
Ah, okay. I get all these fucking names mixed up. But
I mean,
yeah.
they come and go so quick. But like, so he basically, like a lot of these like quote unquote rebellious leftists or like classical liberals, they saw that they weren't winning. Like Gamergate constantly claimed like, oh, we're winning, we're doing this, and the culture kept shifting more to, because it didn't matter how many feminists they pwned online or in debates. Because Anita Sarkeesian, like you said, had the Twitter, what was it, Board of Safety?
Safety Council.
Yeah.
Boston Safety Council.
They had all the institutional power. They had the colleges, like, all, like, why is all of our entertainment, like, liberal and gay? Well, because the people who taught these people how to do what they do are liberal and gay. Why is the financial district liberal and gay? I mean, that's a bigger can of worms, but part of it is that the people who taught them and educated them are liberal and gay. Why are all the teachers liberal and gay? Because the people who taught the teachers are liberal and gay. And it's just, it goes in that fashion because they were like, oh, we're pwning them online. Doesn't matter. So a lot of these liberals eventually just broke away and went back to the left because they were afraid. They were like, we're losing, and I don't want to be on the losing team. So you have people like Kraut and T going up against the alt-right because they claimed, oh, we defeated the left, so now we have to defeat the evil right wing. Like, like come on. We never had any power.
Never assume that you've won either. Even after you've won, the struggle goes on. The victory is in heaven, all right? You have to think of it that way, because otherwise you will rest on your laurels and they'll come and gut you and have a revolution.
Exactly.
Like the war is never over. Never.
Yeah. The battle continues even after, like, I mean, like, look at Robespierre, like, the king is dead, I'm in charge of the Committee of Public Safety, and, like, a year later, he was in a guillotine. It's...
Why does he get to run who the guillotines, right?
Exactly.
What do we say? Why do we guillotine him? Fuck that guy. He thinks he's better than me, but your head gets cut off afterwards. And then somebody is like, well, why don't we have, like, an emperor?
Yeah, it's the never-ending cycle of like, it's the never-ending fight. Like, it's never gonna be a utopia where, like, oh, we finally did it, it's a golden age, we live happily ever after. Like, no, it's always gonna be like even like, let's say we win tomorrow.
State of nature is war.
Yeah, we win tomorrow, and white people are like the only ones left in the U.S. Everybody else gets deported back to like Africa. Like, we send everybody to Africa. The funniest ending possible. Everybody gets sent to Africa.
Do it. I don't care. Do it.
And, and then we get to watch Africa deal with that. But after that, it's going to be, well, what kind of government do we set up? How are the different like ethnic groups of whites gonna get along? How are like do we also deport Richard Spencer or fire him into the ocean using a cannon? Like that kind of thing. There's never gonna
maybe
be,
it's a little self-serving on my end, but I think it's just as simple as if it's white, it's all right.
if it's white, it's all right. Honestly, folks, if it's white, it's all right. That'll be Trump when he's a brain in a jar running in 2028.
You look at him and like say, yeah, it looks white to me. He's fine.
So,
But even I would not touch a letter of the Constitution if we took over. I would keep it. That is the symbol of American power. And actually, I would say we should not be revolutionists at all. We're restoring order, like Patrick Casey says. Because it is a matter of interpretation, not what the text actually says.
that's actually a really
we
good
can
point.
we could just read it in a racist way, and that's all you need to know. It's there's nothing wrong with it.
I would
It's a
want to make
perfectly
a
fine
few
document.
changes. Like, we need to bring back like some of the citizen stuff. We need to get rid of like what is it like?
It's a matter of interpretation. It's a matter of interpretation. Just read it in a different way. That's what the court has always done. The same law can mean something entirely different 10 years from now.
Well, 1 year it says that black people can't vote. The
Now,
next
all
year
it does
it says
is
that
provide
gay
us
people
with
can
a
get
form.
married. Yeah.
We don't have a physical embodiment of our state like most. We don't have a ruling dynasty that is takes physical human form. What we do have is the holy contract, and it's a matter of contractual interpretation what our obligations under the contract are. So we might need an arbitrator, but we really don't need to think too hard about what kind of government we're going to set up. We're going to have America as America should be. And America, as it was founded in 1790, what did the founders think? They thought what I thought. It's as simple as that.
That's a good point. And getting back to like the online right, so you have Gamergate, you have all these names coming in, and then you have a very, very interesting figure who I think has a lot more pull, even though he's not remembered that much, and he's gone he's got a little crazy. All right, I'm not gonna lie, he's gone a little crazy, but he has a lot more impact than I think a lot of people realize, and that being Common Filth. Now, how did you get into like
Common Filth? He got famous through Vine compilations, where he would take all of these crazy kids. Vine was basically the proto TikTok of its day, where you could upload 7-second long videos essentially, and like you could edit them slightly, but they were all 7 seconds long, so it allowed essentially for video tweeting. And that's how Common Filth gained his influence, because he would take all of these like 13, 14, 15-year-old kids being like, I'm trans, I'm pansexual, like all of these like weird things that really kids should not be saying or thinking about. It's a back in our day, we would be like, that's fucking gay. That's what a 14-year-old boy would say, right? Yeah. But now they're like, I'm fucking gay, and it's weird that you're straight. And he would take all of these and make like hours and hours of content of just these fucking clips. And they do have a kind of blackpilling effect, which was also another problem. This is a later part of Common Filth's arc, where it really was a downward spiral because he fell into his own black hole that he was showing everyone else.
You can't always look into the abyss.
That really was very influential, because you could just, here is a compilation of what this ideology does to children. This could be your children. This could be your sister. This could be your brother. You don't want this to happen. And that's what Common Filth did. He showed you the fucking muck underneath the society that we didn't want to show. The things that people, the dirt that people were posting on themselves.
He showed the lie of the liberal system. Like this thing you're never going to see on the news of like, oh, gay people are just really cool and they're clean. Look at this funny one from Seinfeld. It's like, no, here's a queer shaking his ass in front of a 5-year-old. Here's what this really is.
Yeah, here's a 5-year-old saying, I'm queer. And it's like, why is the 5-year-old saying that? Who taught him these concepts?
And then, yeah. And then you have the birth of his podcast, and like you have a community kind of just forming around him. He was Christianity, but with teeth. He wasn't this like typical evangelical conservative Christianity where it was like, well, we don't want to be mean to anybody. He was like, he was actually going after people and being like, no, you're a degenerate, you're a freak, you shouldn't be allowed around anybody.
It was the internet equivalent of the Westboro Baptist Church, essentially. You know, like
Basically,
God hates fags, and I'm going to remind you.
And but like a lot of people rallied around that because I think, especially with young men, a lot of Christians were tired of being, especially after like the new atheist movement. A lot of Christians were tired of being stepped on. They wanted that John the Baptist, like, you brood of vipers kind of reaction. That the even establishment Christianity today, with like these pastors who they'll talk mean about people who are anti-Zionist, but they won't talk mean about anybody else, you know? They wanted someone to stand up for them. That's what I wanted. I remember finding that through Mr. Mediker's comments. Like, somebody said this, like, one of his videos reminded them of Common Filth, and I found him through that.
Yeah, Common Filth was a lot more important than people know. He's an OG, but he did kind of like work against himself too, because he became really combative with people who should have been his friends.
Well, he became combative with you guys. I remember that. He pushed everybody around him away. He did a lot of good things. He opened up the online right to being a more ferocious version of Christianity. He opened up the floodgates to being like, this is what gay people are actually like. This is what this sodomitic stuff is actually like. But he also showed us what happens when you only stare into the abyss. And it destroys you.
Yep. There was a brighter future for Common Filth, you know, if he wanted it.
And hopefully, I think, like, Lord willing, because I think he's done a lot of good for a lot of people, and I know that in my life he had a positive impact. But I think this is something for all of us, because like we can look at, like, you can watch hours of black people like just like beating the shit out of white people on Twitter. You can watch hours of,
you
like,
should do stuff you like.
Yeah.
You should focus on people you like, and you should like things. You should enjoy things. You should find meaning in life rather than
Destruction.
you know, find things to hate. If you think it's just hateful things all the time, there's nothing to fight for. Just die.
Exactly. It's nihilism. It becomes a form of nihilism. Like, oh, this sucks, this sucks, this
Right.
sucks. It's like, well, God also created a beautiful world. There's also things worth fighting for here. Like, the reason that we hate this thing, the reason that we hate what these
Because
people
we
are
love
doing.
something beautiful.
Exactly. I look outside and, like, yeah, the world sucks. There might be chemtrails in the sky. Obama's gay. Whatever. But you know what? It's still beautiful outside.
It all rolls off me.
It all
like
rolls
water
off
off
me.
a raincoat.
It's and like a lot of people, like, I remember there's this like guy online.
The world is always falling apart, but I can't.
Exactly. Like, it's we're over, but we're also eternally back. And
You ever see the Tao, the yin yang?
yeah,
It's over. We're back. Each one contains the other. Like
it's
the Tao.
like the battle's never completely over. Even if the liberal wins, they don't win forever. Like, it's always darkest
Nothing
before
lasts
the
forever.
dawn. Exactly. The bitterness never lasts. The cup of joy never goes to overflowing. Like, I think a good
This too
example
shall
of
pass.
this.
You know, you have to imagine Sisyphus smiling.
Like, literally. And I think, like, a good example of this, and I don't mean to call this guy out, he runs this, like, I think he literally calls himself, like, an incel on Twitter. He runs this, like, community of it. And, like, whenever I see him come up, it's always like, women are never gonna like me. I'm stupid, I'm ugly, this kind of stuff. I don't think he calls himself stupid, but, like, if you have that, like, mentality, yeah, like, chicks aren't gonna dig you. Chicks don't dig that, man. If you don't believe that
You should have a forceful personality that tells women to like you. That's what you should be doing. You should like me. You just tell women that. Women do what you say. Women like authority.
That's literally a thing.
I've gotten beautiful women in my DMs. I've hooked up with pretty girls. I ain't a looker. You've ever seen Orkbrand? You think that guy is not having the sex? And I won't say I have a lot of sex, but the thing is, I have attracted women before, and it's really, they can look past your looks. You just need to have authority. What women crave more than anything else is power, like an anime villain. And if you could be an orb of power for them, they like that. It doesn't matter if you're George Costanza. If you have the orb of power.
There is a George Costanza episode. like of Seinfeld, where he pretends to be a bad boy and he literally just attracts a woman through that. Like
I got Dawson Akarasaba in my DMs, literally with Costanza Riz. I even sent her the Costanza edit where it's just all the bad boy lines of him. It's like it's just like a 6-second edit of like a cool song playing in the background. Costanza bad boy. I mean, she's like, well, okay, what do you look like? She was thinking about the date. So don't tell me. And I, like I said, dude, you know, all it takes is force of will. Literally will that girlfriend into existence. Play Xenogears, okay? You'll understand.
you just got like I have failed so many. Like I think everybody has embarrassing like stories of trying to like flirt with a girl and just failing. I remember I was at my church one time. I was trying to flirt with this girl and she gave me a weird look and like walked away. And I was like, "What the heck did I do wrong?" And so I came back, or like I went to the bathroom, and like I looked in the mirror and my fly was out, and I was like, "God fucking damn it!" But like I didn't give up because of that.
I did turn my orb on.
Exactly. It's literally I didn't have the orb on. That God, definitely not that day. But getting back to like the online right now. So Common Filth today, he's still around on I think Odyssey. He talks about the world being flat, germ theory not being real. And in Common Filth, if you're listening to this somehow, like, I don't hate you in the slightest. I just think that you've been very badly
We all
hurt by
love
the
Common
thing.
Filth.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there's a person, at least in this sphere, who hates him. I certainly don't. I just wish that he would, I think that he needs to unplug,
Wow.
get back with God, and just, heal, because I think he's been very badly hurt by all this. But after the Common Filth stuff, you get the rise of like the political streamer who's a lot more hardcore. And one of them who rose the highest, maybe to our detriment, is I think we all know this name, Nick Fuentes, who's constantly getting into interesting situations in like gay
Well,
stuff.
he's a cautionary tale, just like Common Filth is. The problem is streamers fucking suck, and
Yeah.
streaming as a content platform, like in general, is slop. It's by definition. It's just stream whatever into my fucking eyeballs. I need white noise. That's streaming. So you're never gonna get greatness out of a streamer. I'm sorry, you just won't. You will get engagement baiting. You will get clout fights. You will get fucking pranks. That's what you're gonna get. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, that's good. But don't rely on streamers for politics or theory or economics or anything. What Nick Fuentes has become is right-wing Hassan. And that's all that he can be. You know, if you think the medium is the message, this is what streaming turns you into, whether you're left or right. I hate streamers.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, like, no one can really blame you for that because they're just constantly drama queens and they're just constantly stirring up stuff. And Fuentes, it's a shame because he does have a talent for being an orator. He does have a good way of communicating, but at the same time, like, just the stuff, like, all of his
He needs to
friends
be-
leave him.
Yeah. But he's a gay bitch who lives for the drama, you know, and that's what streamers are. It's theater kidding 24/7. You know, at least when you're a gamer streamer, you're a speed runner, you're doing something somewhat impressive. Speedrunners do impressive things with video games in their milieu, at least. But a political streamer is just, you know, you're regurgitating what they do on the news. You are a one-man 24/7 media slop network.
He's the night
with
crawl.
lower production value because you're a one man. And well, I mean, what have we learned from 24/7 media slop? You know, even if you do it only once a week, you're still practically in the medium of shit talking about the current thing.
Yeah.
Forever.
It's there's no analysis that can be done because you can't step back and look at the wider picture for a second, you know? It's just it's constant
Reaction content is not reactionary content. This needs to be underlined. Reaction and reactionary are not the same thing, you know? The immediate knee-jerk reaction is retarded. It's always retarded, not not moving us forward
Yeah, like
toward our goals.
we're not the liberal. We don't get to like just constantly try and pull down things. We actually have to try and create. Like we have to like
Conserve some meaning out of this event by letting it happen, thinking about it, considering it, looking at other things that are revealed by it. Then come back to it when you have a clearer picture. When you're just like, this just in, a missile hit my house, you know, it's like, well, I mean, obviously, if it's your house, right? Okay.
you're gonna freak out a
But
little
with like
bit.
a missile hit the White House, and they're saying it's the Iran, you know, like immediately you're gonna make the wrong decision. You're gonna believe the first thing that they tell you. You're gonna fall for every fucking psyop. You're gonna die.
Well, that's what happened with Iraq. Like, even as far back as 1991, they got like a Kuwaiti girl to get in front of Congress and cry. And like when a 15-year-old girl cries, the whole country goes, "Oh my God, we need to kill everyone in Iraq."
They're killing
now."
babies in the incubators. They took the baby out of the incubator and shot it in the head right in front of me. Oh, the human. Then they did it again 10 years later, and it's like, wait a minute.
And we keep
Wait a
falling for
minute.
this again and again. They're doing it right now with the Israelis. Like, oh my God, they put like, didn't they say they put like
Look at
infants in
small child
ovens?
crying. Let's shut down borders and laws.
That's the entire like. If you ever want to get something out of the American people, show a crying brown child, and people will be like, "By golly, we need to nuke someone this very instant."
Yeah, well, you know, and if you say like, I don't care about this yet, people get so mad at you. But if your reaction to COVID was, I'm not worried until I see hazmat suits in my hometown, people would get mad at you. I know because that was my take at first, which was the correct take, turns out.
Well, I started not to be
You know,
like,
if I'm not seeing...
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's I freaked out a little bit at first because Medicare. I remember following him and he was like, "This is going to be big," so I started buying food and stuff. And then it came here and I was like, "This is bullshit." Like, both of my parents are like elderly and they got it and they did not give a shit. They were like going to the grocery store. They're like, "I don't care." I was like, "You can't go out. You have COVID." They're like, they looked me in the eye like these baby boomers. They were like, "I don't care." They just left. I was like, "All right, I guess this is
I
nothing."
mean, I got COVID. I couldn't go to the store. It was actually a pretty bad flu when I got it. But at the same time, a bad flu that takes 5 days to get over.
It's the flu.
I mean, that's pretty debilitating, but I wouldn't shut the whole fucking world down over it.
But it gave them so much more power, and that's a whole other can of worms, and just what it did to kids, like locking them in for 2 years, and like they're even more strange than they would have been.
I was in
already.
law school at the time. I was in my second year of law school when COVID started, so I did half of law school basically in law school, and then the other half in my house, in my room. I learned a lot less, let me tell you, but it was easier to pass.
Oh yeah,
So it's like, if you're gonna wonder why
yeah,
you didn't learn shit when you were Zoom learning, you just didn't. I
just
painted
cheated.
fucking Warhammer.
that's what like everyone does. High school to college.
Yeah, well, the profits for Games Workshop went through the roof during COVID because everyone was like, well, if I got nothing to do, might as well paint all these fucking models.
Might as well. I mean, there was nothing else to do. I was just working out in my basement. I busted my arm doing that, so that was fun. And it was nothing. It was just 2 years of nothing. And this leaves us with just the modern online right. It's fractured into a bunch of different pieces. You have like weird neo-pagans, you have like basically non-religious people, you have the trad casts, you have the ortho bros, you have you don't really have the common filth faction anymore. I think that just splintered up into a bunch of different stuff. You have some more milquetoast Protestants out there, and then you have people, or maybe not, you still have people like I think there are a few Protestants who do like podcasts and stuff that are still kind of not what common filth was, but like, or more similar to like maybe people like Endeavor or something, though I think he's Catholic. But it's interesting because
Yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah, it leaves us with the question, where do we, there doesn't seem to be any plan, there doesn't seem to be any leader, so where do we go from here is kind of the question. What would your opinion on that?
What's the plan? Honestly, don't think too hard. It really, if you are called upon, do your duty. It really is. Stick to the basics. Stick to the fundamentals. Do the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Continue on. Don't get black pilled. Be white pilled. Do what you're supposed to do.
Live
Continue
your life.
on, fight on.
Live your life. Pray. And
Everything is going to work out. Believe what you believe. Don't hide it. Don't apologize for it. Stay the course. Do what you must do, though. Like do your primary duties to your family, to your job, whatever you're doing, do that, continue doing that, and do it to the best of your ability. Prove that you are disciplined, prove that you are strong, prove that people should value you, and that's all you have to do. Rise to the top.
I think that's
you are gonna make
give. I mean, there's nothing else to do. These people who are like, no, I need to be like the Hearts of Iron 4 general and save America. It's like, listen, we're not going to do that.
If you're in a position to do that, if you were doing that before you needed to hear what you needed to do next, continue to do it. If you're a mercenary, continue being a mercenary. But if you are like a guy who works at an office job, you are not the right-wing death squad, okay? Not yet, anyway. I mean, if you want to get up into hard training and, going to the range on a regular basis, by all means, do it. But you're probably not the guy to be storming, the shit on the front line, right? You are the administrative support wing, or whatever you are. Do that to the best of your ability, but remember what your interests are and where you want it to go, and continue on in that direction.
Now, as for the U.S., do you think that it's going to lead to like a collapse that's like imminent, or do you think it's going to be like the fall of Rome, where it takes 200 years before it gets crappy enough to actually fall apart?
I'm with the Lindy man, even though I haven't blocked. It's a 1,000-year American empire. We're not going anywhere. The infrastructure here is too good. The geographic position is too good. We are living in like the best place possible, in the most unassailable fortress in the world, the entire continent of North America. We are in a strong position, even if it seems like we're weak. It's gonna be fine. America's gonna make it. In fact, the collapse is a cope. The collapse is like the rapture. It's not coming. You're stuck here. You have to be in the muck, and you have to do what you have to do.
That's my thought on it. I don't think that there's going to be a collapse. I think that things are just going to slowly degrade and get crappier. Do you think that the demographic replacement
You might get better.
Yeah.
You might make them better. I don't discount the possibility that we are actually going to succeed and make things better. And I don't think we should. It seems like it's declining now, and it is. It absolutely is. But that means we can work. We know what to do. We have a job cut up for us.
Yeah,
we have an understanding of what
who turns it around, because like people sometimes today look at Caesar as a tyrant, and I mean to the Gauls he was, but to the Roman people they
vote for people with strong, assertive personalities, people who sound decisive and act decisive, but also go off the rails. So people like Trump, if you continue supporting people like that, we might actually get something done. We might actually have a Caesar figure, but you need to also work within the system in itself. The collapse will murder you. It will collapse on top of you and kill you. You need to make sure that you survive. You are Atlas, and you're holding this up on your back.
Do you think working within the system is still viable at this point?
Yes, because this is the system that we're going to run once we take it over. Rise through the ranks and take it over.
Not a bad plan.
We have a march through the institutions to do. They've already done it. And these are the most incompetent and ugly people in the world. And they've managed to succeed doing that. Why can't we? If we are better than them, if we are stronger than them, if we are smarter than them, if we are better looking than them, why can't we do it better? We can. And there is no reason to believe we can't.
And I mean, you look at places like Poland, Russia, Ukraine, and all these different places that were under communism for so long. And now you have
a lot of those communists. As soon as communism was over, they turned around. They said, "Gotcha! I'm a Christian libertarian. We're cutting off taxes. And we're not letting any minorities in."
And that's the thing. Like, it could turn around. I think that that's a very good message to end on. We might not know where the future is going, but make sure that you're prepared and strong enough to deal with whatever comes, and just continue to have hope, because I mean, if like the people who listen to this, I would hope, are all Christian, and if you're a Christian, you have to have hope, because it's darkest before the dawn. Like, even the Byzantine Empire just collapsed, it's over. No, we're still here. The Muslims just took over Spain, it's over. No, we're still here. Just because it's dark now doesn't mean it's going to be dark.
800 years to take Spain back, but we took it back.
Exactly. If they can take back Spain, we can take back anything.
That's 40 generations. You have to continue believing in a position of weakness and still rise through the ranks. A lot of those Spaniards worked with those Muslims because they had no other choice. But they knew their mission. They knew their goal. Even if they couldn't accomplish it in their lifetime, it would be accomplished in their children's. And if not in theirs, in their grandchildren's, and so on and so on. You have to believe. You have to trust in the plan. God's plan.
God's plan. I think that's a perfect way to end it. Would you like to say anything else, or?
I'd say follow me on Twitter, but who knows if my account will exist by the time this goes up. So
That's a good point.
just look out for Orkbrand.
Orkbrand. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on with me. Thank you for taking time out of your day. This was really awesome of you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And sorry I couldn't come on last week. That was totally my fault.
Dude, don't worry about it. I do stuff like that all the time at my job and stuff too. It's terrible. I have no one to judge for that.
Sorry, I forgot. I have ADD and I didn't take my Adderall. You know what happens.
Oh, I wish I had Adderall. I think I'd be unstoppable on Adderall.
Me too. I didn't take it.
Alrighty. Hey, you take care.
If you want to know
okay?
baseline Orkbrand without Adderall, this was the show. All right, see you around, man.
All right, take care.